Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of a memory, the kind that feels so vivid you can almost smell the stale beer and hear the clink of glasses in a crowded bar. My name's Sophie, I'm 27, and I've got a life that, on the surface, looks like a neatly wrapped package. I've been married to Ethan for 3 years now. He's 29, a software engineer who spends his days debugging code and his nights debugging my overthinking with that dry humor of his. There's something about the way he can walk into a room and make everyone feel like they've known him forever. His easy smile, the way he tilts his head when he's really listening. We've built something solid, Ethan and I, over countless late nights with cheap wine, spilling secrets and dreams until the world outside our little bubble fades away. Then, there are the guys who've become like family to me through Ethan, Tom and Liam, his best friends since their college days. Tom, 28, is the kind of person who fills up a space without even trying. He's loud, brash, always got a joke ready to fire, and a grin that's sharp enough to cut through any tension, or create it, depending on his mood. You can't help but notice him, whether you want to laugh with him or roll your eyes at his over-the-top confidence. Liam, also 28, is the opposite. He's quiet, almost too quiet sometimes, but those intense blue eyes of his, they don't miss a thing. It's like he's always watching, always piecing together the puzzle of whoever's in front of him. There's a weight to his presence, a subtle edge that makes you wonder what's going on behind that calm exterior. The four of us, we're a unit. We've spent countless weekends together, backyard barbecues, game nights where the stakes are low but the trash talk is high, and impromptu outings that somehow turn into the best stories. Just a couple of weeks ago, we hit up a trivia night at this dive bar downtown. The place was sticky with spilled drinks, the air thick with laughter, and bad karaoke from the next room. Tom, of course, decided the rules were more like suggestions. He was sneaking looks at his phone under the table, whispering answers like he was some kind of mastermind. Liam caught on quick, just gave him this long, exasperated stare before shaking his head and sipping his beer. Ethan and I couldn't stop laughing, tears streaming down my face as I tried to choke out our next guess between giggles. It was one of those nights where everything just clicked, where you feel so connected to the people around you that the rest of the world doesn't matter. That brings me to last night. It started out so simple, so familiar. After a long, grueling week, Ethan pulling late hours on a project, me juggling deadlines and stress headaches, we all needed a break. The idea came up out of nowhere, a spontaneous spark during a quick group chat exchange on Thursday afternoon. Someone, probably Tom, because who else would suggest something so out of left field, threw out the idea of hitting up a sauna downtown. Not just any sauna, mind you, but this upscale spot called Vapor Haven, a place I'd only heard about in passing. It's the kind of joint that screams trendy, with a reputation for being a late-night escape for those in the know. I was skeptical at first, but Ethan's eyes lit up at the thought of unwinding in a steam room, and before I knew it, we were all in. A night to let go, to just be us, away from the grind of the week. So, there we were, rolling up to Vapor Haven around 11 p.m. The downtown streets were buzzing with neon signs and the hum of late-night traffic, but as soon as we stepped through the glass doors, it was like entering another world. The lobby was all sleek lines and dim amber lighting, casting warm shadows across polished wood and stone. The air carried a faint, calming scent of eucalyptus, and the receptionist gave us a knowing smile as she handed over the key to our private steam room, rented by the hour. We were dressed casual, jeans, hoodies, sneakers, looking a little out of place in such a ritzy spot, but we didn't care. Tom was lugging a cooler packed with craft beers, the cans clinking with every step, while Ethan had a bottle of tequila tucked under his arm, a last-minute addition Tom had insisted on. Liam, as usual, carried nothing but that quiet intensity, his hands shoved in his pockets as he scanned the space. We made our way to the private room, and the moment we pushed open the door, the heat hit me like a wall. It was heavy, humid, wrapping around me in an instant as steam swirled in lazy clouds under the soft glow of recessed lights. The space was intimate, with sleek wooden benches lining the tiled walls, the kind of place that felt both luxurious and primal. The eucalyptus scent was stronger here, mingling with the damp air, and as I shrugged off my hoodie to reveal the swimsuit beneath, I could already feel the steam clinging to my skin, tiny beads of moisture forming almost instantly. We all changed into the plush robes they provided, tying them loosely over our swimsuits, and settled in. I grabbed a cold beer from the cooler, the icy can a sharp, refreshing contrast to the oppressive heat, and popped it open with a satisfying hiss. The mood was light at first. The four of us sprawled across the benches, sipping our drinks and letting the warmth seep into our bones. Ethan fiddled with a portable speaker, pulling up a playlist on his phone, only for Tom to immediately start ribbing him about his taste in music. "Man, what is this? Elevator tunes for sad robots?" Tom barked, his voice cutting through the hiss of steam, a wide grin splitting his face. Ethan just rolled his eyes, tossing back a quick retort with that smirk of his, but before he could finish, his phone buzzed sharply on the bench beside him. I watched as he glanced at the screen, his brow furrowing in that way it does when work intrudes on our time. He sighed, a heavy, frustrated sound, and muttered something about needing to take it. I nodded, trying to keep the mood light, but I could already feel a shift, like a cold draft sneaking into the heat of the steam room. Ethan stepped out, the glass door swinging shut behind him with a soft thud, leaving me with Tom and Liam in the hazy warmth. Through the fogged-up glass, I could see his silhouette pacing in the hallway, one hand pressed to his ear, the other gesturing wildly. His voice was muffled, but the tension in his posture was clear as day. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew that tone. It was his boss, probably with some urgent crisis only Ethan could fix. My stomach twisted a little. We'd been looking forward to this night for days, a chance to just unplug, and now work was dragging him away again. I tried to focus on the heat, the way it soaked into my muscles, but my eyes kept drifting to that blurry figure beyond the door. When Ethan finally came back in, his face was tight, his jaw clenched in that way that told me he was biting back a string of curses. He looked at me, apologetic, his hazel eyes softening for a moment as he explained the situation. "Server crash at the office," he said, his voice low, almost a growl. "They need me there now. Some critical systems down, and apparently I'm the only one who can magically fix it at midnight." He ran a hand through his damp hair, shaking his head. "I'm so sorry, Soph. I've gotta go." I felt a pang of disappointment, sharp and sudden, and my first instinct was to grab my stuff and go with him. "I'll come along," I said quickly, already half standing, the robe slipping slightly off my shoulder. "I don't mind waiting while you sort it out." But he waved me off, insistent, his hand gentle but firm on my arm as he urged me to stay. "No, babe, it's gonna be boring as hell. Just a bunch of me swearing at a screen for an hour or two. Stay here, relax with the guys. I'll be back before you know it." I hesitated, my gut telling me to push harder, but the look in his eyes, part frustration, part plea, made me back down. I forced a smile, though it felt brittle on my lips, and nodded. "Okay, just hurry back, all right?" He gave me a quick, tight hug, the warmth of his skin lingering for a second before he pulled away, grabbed his things, and headed out. I watched him disappear down the hall, his footsteps echoing faintly until they were gone, swallowed by the hum of the building. The moment he was out of sight, something shifted in the steam room. It wasn't just the absence of his steady presence. It was like the air itself grew heavier, thicker, pressing down on me in a way that hadn't been there before. The space felt smaller, the walls closing in despite the open benches and swirling mist. I settled back down, trying to shake off the unease, reaching for another sip of tequila straight from the bottle Ethan had left behind. The burn of it down my throat was sharp, grounding, but it couldn't quite cut through the strange tension that had settled over us. Tom broke the silence first, his voice cutting through the haze with that familiar, playful edge. But there was something different now, something sharper. "So, Sophie," he drawled, leaning back on the bench with a lazy grin. "Must get pretty lonely when Ethan's off saving the digital world, huh? All those late nights, just you and an empty house." I laughed, a nervous little sound that didn't quite reach my eyes, brushing it off with a shrug. "I manage," I said, keeping my tone light. but I could feel the weight of his words hanging there, testing the waters. I'm sitting here on this wooden bench in the steam room at Vapor Haven, my robe pulled tight around me like it could somehow shield me from the mess I've just made. The tiled floor beneath my feet is slick with condensation, and I can't stop staring at it, tracing the grout lines with my eyes as if they hold some kind of answer. My mind is a storm, churning with thoughts I can't escape. The steam, once so soothing, now feels like it's suffocating me, each breath heavy with the weight of what just happened. It's like the air itself is pressing down on me, a constant reminder of my betrayal, of the line I crossed when I never thought I would. How could I let this happen? I keep asking myself that, over and over, like a broken record stuck on the worst lyric. I hate myself for it, for being so weak, for letting the moment spiral out of control. Was this planned? Did Tom and Liam see an opportunity the second Ethan stepped out? Or was it just a reckless, drunken mistake fueled by too much tequila and the hazy intimacy of this place? I can't decide which is worse, thinking they orchestrated this or knowing I was complicit in a fleeting lapse of judgment. My stomach twists at the thought, a sickening knot that won't loosen no matter how hard I try to breathe through it. Across the room, Tom is cracking open another beer, the sharp pop of the can echoing in the humid silence. He's acting like nothing's wrong, like what just transpired between us was no more significant than a casual conversation. He even has the audacity to wink at me, a sly little gesture that makes my skin crawl, as if we're sharing some kind of secret joke. It's infuriating, the way he can just sit there, so smug and unbothered, while I'm unraveling inside. Liam, on the other hand, won't even look at me. He's perched on the opposite bench, his gaze fixed on the wall, those intense blue eyes avoiding mine like I'm a ghost he can't bear to face. His silence is somehow worse than Tom's nonchalance. It's heavy, loaded with unspoken judgment or maybe regret. I can't tell. But it cuts deeper, making me feel even smaller, even more exposed than I already do. I open my mouth to say something, anything, to break this unbearable tension. We need to forget this ever happened, I manage to croak out, but my voice catches in my throat, raw and unsteady. Tom just chuckles, a low, dismissive sound that grates on my nerves. "Relax, Sophie. It's no big deal," he says, taking a long swig of his beer, his tone so casual it makes me want to scream. No big deal? How can he say that when I feel like my entire world is teetering on the edge of collapse? I want to argue, to tell him he's wrong, that this changes everything. But the words won't come. They're stuck, tangled up with the guilt and shame that's clawing at me from the inside. I fumble for my phone, my hands trembling as I check the time. 3:45 a.m. glows back at me from the screen, the numbers blurring through the fog of my thoughts. Ethan's been gone for hours now, off fixing some crisis at work, and I'm praying, desperately praying, he takes longer. I need more time to pull myself together, to figure out how to bury this so deep he'll never suspect a thing. I keep refreshing the screen, hoping for a text, a call, anything to tell me where he is. But there's nothing, just the ticking of seconds I don't have enough of. I can't sit here anymore, stewing in this heat and my own self-loathing. I stand up, my legs shaky, and mumble something about needing a breather as I stumble toward the small sink area just outside the steam room. The air out here is cooler, a sharp contrast that hits my overheated skin like a slap, but it's not enough to clear my head. I turn on the faucet, letting the cold water run over my hands before cup. I'm back in the steam room now, the cold water from the sink still lingering on my hands as I settle onto the bench, trying to steady my breathing. The air feels even heavier than before, the steam swirling around me like it's mocking my attempts to pull myself together. My heart is a hammer in my chest, each beat a reminder of the secret I'm carrying, a weight I can't shake no matter how hard I try. I keep my eyes on the tiled floor, afraid to look at Tom or Liam, afraid of what I might see in their expressions, or worse, what they might see in mine. Then I hear it. The soft thud of the glass door swinging open. My head snaps up, and there he is, Ethan! My Ethan! Stepping back into the steam room, his hair slightly messy from the drive, strands sticking to his forehead from the lingering dampness of the night air. He's got that tired but relieved smile on his face, the one that always makes my chest ache with how much I love him. He looks at me first, his hazel eyes softening as he says, "Crisis averted. The servers back up, and I'm officially off the hook." His voice is light, almost playful, like he's trying to erase the hours he was gone with just a few words. I want to smile back, to match his energy, but my face feels frozen, my lips stuck in a tight line as I nod. He doesn't seem to notice anything off at first, plopping down beside me on the bench with a heavy sigh, his shoulder brushing against mine in that casual, familiar way. The heat of his presence is a stark contrast to the cold dread pooling in my stomach. "Man, my boss is such a drama queen," he says, chuckling as he shakes his head. "You'd think the world was ending over a few lines of code. I swear, I need a vacation after tonight." I force a laugh, but it sounds hollow even to my own ears, a brittle little noise that cracks under the weight of my guilt. I can't meet his gaze, my eyes darting to the side, focusing on the steam curling up from the floor like ghostly fingers. My stomach churns, a nauseating mix of shame and fear twisting tighter with every second he's next to me. Tom and Liam play their parts perfectly, their voices cutting through the haze with an ease that makes my skin crawl. "So, what was the big emergency?" Tom asks, leaning back with a smirk, his tone so casual it's almost infuriating. He's sprawled out like nothing in the world could touch him, like the last few hours didn't happen at all. Liam chimes in too, his quiet voice steady as he adds, "Yeah? Did you have to pull some superhero moves to save the day?" There's a faint smirk on his lips, but his eyes don't meet mine, staying fixed on Ethan as if I'm not even here. Their words are like knives, each one slicing deeper into the raw wound of my conscience. They're so calm, so unaffected, while I'm drowning in this suffocating heat, every breath a struggle against the panic rising in my throat. Ethan laughs, launching into a story about some glitch in the system, his voice warm and animated, completely oblivious to the storm raging inside me. I try to focus on what he's saying, on the familiar cadence of his words, but my mind is a chaotic mess. Every glance from him feels like a question I can't answer. Every pause in his story a moment where he might see through me. I'm hyper-aware of everything, the way the steam clings to my skin, the faint scent of eucalyptus that now feels sickening, the slickness of the bench beneath me. My hands are clenched in my lap, nails digging into my palms as I fight to keep my expression neutral. But it's a losing battle. The guilt is a physical thing, a crushing weight on my chest that makes it hard to draw a full breath. Then it happens. Ethan reaches for my hand, his fingers brushing against mine, warm and familiar, a gesture so small and yet so devastating. I flinch just slightly, a tiny jerk of my hand that I can't control. Ethan notices this time, his brow furrowing slightly as he tilts his head, that familiar look of concern creeping into his eyes. "You okay, Soph?" he asks, his voice softer now, laced with a genuine worry that cuts me deeper than anything else tonight. I nod too quickly, forcing a smile that feels like it might shatter my face. "Yeah, just tired," I mumble, pulling my hand back under the pretense of adjusting my robe. He doesn't push, but I can feel his gaze lingering on me for a moment longer before he turns back to the guys, continuing his story. That small moment of doubt in his eyes, though, it's a crack in the facade I'm desperately trying to hold together, and I know I can't keep this up much longer. The rest of the time at Vapor Haven passes in a blur, a haze of steam and forced conversation that I barely register. I'm there, but I'm not, my mind trapped in a loop of regret and fear as the clock ticks on. Around 4:30 a.m., Ethan suggests we call it a night, his voice cutting through the fog in my head. "I think we've all had enough heat for one evening," he says with a small chuckle, oblivious to the irony of his words. I nod mutely, grateful for the excuse to escape this suffocating space. The four of us start packing up, gathering our things with sluggish movements. I'm mechanical, robotic, folding my towel and slipping back into my hoodie without a word. I can't bring myself to look at Tom or Liam, not even a glance. I'm terrified of what I might see: smugness, guilt, or worse, indifference. Instead, I keep my eyes on the floor, on my hands, on anything but them, as we shuffle out of the steam room and back into the cool, dim lobby of the sauna. The car ride home with Ethan is a quiet kind of torture. I'm in the passenger seat, staring out the window as the city lights streak past in a blur of neon and shadow. The hum of the engine is the only sound between us at first, a steady drone that does nothing to soothe the chaos in my mind. His hand rests on my knee, a familiar gesture of comfort, but tonight it feels like a lead weight, something I don't deserve and can't bear. I want to pull away, to shrink into myself, but I don't. I can't risk him noticing something's wrong. Not now. Not when I'm still scrambling to bury this secret beneath layers of lies I haven't even crafted yet. "You sure you're okay?" he asks again, his voice cutting through the silence as he glances at me, his hazel eyes searching in the dim glow of the dashboard. I swallow hard, my throat tight, and nod. "Just exhausted," I lie, my voice barely above a whisper. He squeezes my knee gently, accepting the answer for now, but I know he's not entirely convinced. Ethan knows me too well, and that's the problem. When we finally get home, the familiar creak of our front door feels like a judgment, the quiet of our apartment a stark contrast to the storm inside me. I go through the motions, kicking off my shoes, dropping my bag by the door, following Ethan into our bedroom like I'm on autopilot. We climb into bed, the sheets cool against my skin, but there's no comfort in it. I lie there beside him, staring at the ceiling as his breathing slows, steady and even, a sign he's already drifting off. I can't sleep, not even close. My mind is a relentless machine, replaying every moment of the night over and over, each memory sharper and more painful than the last. The way things spiraled out of control, the choices I made in that steam-filled haze, the unspoken agreement that now binds me to Tom and Liam in a way I never wanted. It all cuts deeper with every passing second. I can still feel the heat of the sauna on my skin, a phantom sensation that won't let me forget, as if my body itself is branded with the shame of what I've done. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.